The views and opinions expressed in this podcast by the host and or the guest do not necessarily reflect the views of the host and or Paranormal Buzz Radio and or its sponsors. Use of any material produced by Paranormal Buzz Radio without express written consent is prohibited. Paranormal Buzz Radio will not be held responsible for you holding your knees, crying, and rocking in a corner in a puddle of your own urine, or being beheaded by a group of children in a cornfield. In fact, if you come across a group of children in a cornfield, we promise to make fun of you as you run away screaming in terror. Listener discretion is advised. You are now entering the all-consuming realm of Shay's Paranormal Chat, where the things that are better left unsaid are actually said.
Shut up and sit down.
You're listening to Shay's Paranormal Chat. Paranormal podcasting done Shay's way. Tons of fun.
Dude, seriously?
A bit sarcastic.
Hashtag investigator, not hunter.
But always real.
Hashtag data, not evidence.
Don't get your panties in a twist.
Oh my god, really?
This is real, raw conversation. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Shay's Paranormal Chat, Season 6. I'm your host, Shay Carroll. So, Season 6 has been rough start here. Very slow. Maybe one of these days I'll do an episode and fill you guys in on everything that's going on. But tonight I'm doing something a little bit different. I am going to share not only some of the history, but our experiences at Madame Sherri's haunted castle / forest. And it's in West Chesterfield, New Hampshire. It's one of my favorite places. It's like top 5. Or at least it used to be. That's another whole story. It's really gone. Last time I went, people had really damaged it, and a few years ago they let us. A few years ago they stopped us going at night. Like nobody can go at night anymore. So, but I still like to go up there and walk around, and it's been a while. I have to get back up there. So this originally was in video form. So. There's one or two spots that might not make sense because you're not watching the video. You're going to get only audio. But if you really want to see pictures of it and watch the video, go check out my YouTube. It's down bottom. I have a couple of them. The history is way down bottom with all the pictures, and then I have another one up top that was a little bit newer. So, I hope you like it. And if I get positive feedback, I'll do some more of these. So the YouTube is Shay's Paranormal. And of course, if you want to email me, it's shaysparanormal, gmail.com. Let's check it out.
Madame Sherri's Forest, West Chesterfield, New Hampshire. Antoinette Brumaire was born in Paris in 1878. This is where she got married, did a little work in the theater, and also did some singing. She had many names over the years. She changed it to Antoinette Sherri shortly after moving to New York in 1911. Years later, while visiting West Chesterfield, New Hampshire, she fell in love with the area. The locals knew her as Madame Sherri, and in 1931 she built her dream home and would call it her castle. She threw extravagant and wild parties and was the talk of this small town. Madame Sherri was known to be an eccentric woman. She would dress up in elaborate outfits with matching hats. She would often be seen by the locals being chauffeured around in her fancy car wearing her fur coat. Although she spent a lot of time at the castle, she never actually lived there. Instead, she would live here, just in one room in this farmhouse. In 1959, the castle was robbed and vandalized, and Madame Sherri would never again return to her castle. In 1962, a fire destroyed the castle, and all that remains is the foundation, the fireplace, and the massive staircase. In 1965, she passed away in Brattleboro, Vermont, at a nursing home at the age of 84. She was a ward of the state. Sadly enough, that was the week she sold her property. Keep in mind that we've done this location a dozen times, so our experiences don't go back hours. They go back years. But here are a few of our experiences. One night, Nicole and I walked up to the giving tree. The giving tree is a hollowed-out tree up a path that people leave little trinkets and gifts for the spirit. We heard the distinct sound of an old-fashioned rocking chair. Anybody that's had an old-fashioned rocking chair on a hardwood floor knows that sound it makes. There's a certain pattern to it, a creakiness, and you just know what it is. We tried to debunk it. We tried to figure out what else it could be. We couldn't figure it out at all. There's also a lot of shadow play there. There's also a lot of sensations of being touched or your arm stroked or being brushed up against. Also, Nicole has experienced children's whispers, children's cries, not in a distance. They were right there. We did debunk some other people's claims of screaming children because there are fisher cats there. We have also heard real cows in the area. We've heard trains a couple times, so there are other things going on there. There's also claims of things being tossed at you or things being flicked around. Also, that uneasy, anxious feeling you get when somebody's just too close in your face. This is a picture of the part of the foundation that leads directly into the bottom basement. Here are some pictures of the basement. As you can tell, it's falling apart, it's crumbling, it's been vandalized pretty severely. This experience started in the basement. We were all in the basement, and I got that uneasy, edgy, something was wrong feeling, so I decided to go upstairs by myself to just sit there. And I was just sitting there, sitting still, not moving. Later, when we listened back to the digital recorder, we heard, after I sat down and was sitting still, we heard somebody walk up to the recorder and actually tap it. A short time after that, I was still sitting in the same place, right across from the fireplace, and the digital recorder was still on the fireplace. We got one of our best EVPs ever. It was a creepiest voice, and it was saying, "Get out." Then a little bit later, we got even more. It wasn't as clear, but we got, "Keep talking and you'll see," or it was, "Keep taunting and you'll see." Roughly a year later, we were working at Greystar Paranormal Institute on a documentary about Madame Sherris, and we were there investigating with them. And two things stand out. They had similar experiences. They also got an EVP right next to the fireplace, and they also got an anomaly of something that would remind you of the tapping from a year before on my recorder. Okay, so in these next couple pictures, you're going to see the general area of where my next experience happened. It just so happens to be the same area that not only we got our EVPs, the two I mentioned earlier, and the tapping noise, but also where Greystar got their two that I mentioned earlier. Okay, so 2 or 3, maybe 4 at the most times over a year or so, I would see these green floating lights. Sometimes they were white. Now I want to say I'm not a huge orb fan. So I'm not saying they're orbs, I'm not saying they're spirits. I don't know what they are, which is why this is one of the strangest things I've seen. The first thing being at S.K. Paris Mansion. It's definitely runner-up. Okay, so as I was saying, I would see these green, sometimes white, floating light anomalies, and the last time I got a picture of it. Okay, so this is actually 10 to 12 feet off the ground. This picture is actually cropped so you guys can see it better. That's a tree on the right, and obviously you can see the white circle thing. I don't know what it is. And this I lightened up so you could see a little bit better. It's still the cropped image, but I just lightened it so you could see it a little better. I have no idea what it is. Like I said, I'm not an orb person, so no clue. If you have any ideas, let me know, please. Here are two anomalies that we caught at Madame Sherris in West Chesterfield in September of 2015. The second one's not as obvious as the first. I hope you enjoy.
And here it is again. Here's the second one. It's under our voices.
Didn't realize there was a lot of traffic down here. All I can see is the lights.
And here it is again.
Didn't realize there was a lot of traffic down here. All I can see is the lights.
Well, guys, I hope you liked it. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was easy to hear. Again, my YouTube and email is shaysparanormal@gmail.com. So, yeah, let me know what you think of it, or write it in comments. I'll try to remember to check. I check on the day of, but I do forget like weeks later to check on Spreaker. Be sure to follow me on my social media also. I get updates and posts. So all my personal stuff goes in Exploring the Unknown group on Facebook. Everything else, Twitter or X, which I'm not on very often, is Facebook, and Instagram is Shay Paranormal, no S, Shay Paranormal. So yeah, everything's Shay's Paranormal or Shay Paranormal. It's pretty easy to find me. Check it out, and hopefully I'll be back next week or the week after.